Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Legislative Committee on Elections and Legislative Operations. Appreciate everyone's patience. Madam Secretary, we do have a quorum present. Please mark Senator Severs, Gansert, and Majority Leader Canizaro present when they arrive. And we'll skip over the housekeeping material. We've kind of done that quite a bit, and anybody can contact the office if they have any questions. With that, we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 450. Thank you for your patience, and thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Heather Korbulik. I'm here today representing Governor Sisolak as his policy director. It's very nice to see all of you. Today we're presenting Assembly Bill 450, which appoints a committee to conduct an interim study to align workforce training and programs offered by community colleges in the state of Nevada. Before I get too far into the details of this bill, on behalf of the governor, I'd like to acknowledge the work of the NC system as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic response. Campuses across the state implemented mitigation measures immediately to protect faculty, students, and our communities. Science departments helped the state build COVID-19 test kits, which were in short supply around the country at the time. The Nevada State Public Health Lab became a statewide leader in testing, research, and genomic analysis. NC colleges, universities have trained and built the state's contact training workforce. NC scholars have provided key input on the governor's mitigation members and have informed the state's path going forward throughout this pandemic. NC campuses have been great partners in everything from testing to vaccination, and we are always appreciative of them. The governor is grateful for the efforts of our state's institutions today and every day. As Governor Sisolak said in his State of the State on January 19th, he's calling on the legislature to work with NC over the next 2 years to develop a framework to analyze community colleges in rebuilding Nevada's workforce and economic future. As the state rebounds and finds new footing in this new pandemic landscape, the importance of community colleges as they relate to our workforce development efforts will be even more important than ever. Since the time he served on the Board of Regents, the governor has been vocal about the importance of community colleges and the desire for the state to focus on supporting and expanding access to certificate programs and 2-year degrees that can lead to immediate jobs. The timing is right to review the governance and role of the state's community colleges. Assembly Bill 450 proposes the creation of a multidisciplinary committee to study the governance structures of Nevada community colleges as they relate to the state's workforce development needs. The governor believes that Nevada's workforce development system is in need of a meaningful transformation to meet the needs of our evolving economy. These needs have been magnified by the current public health crisis. As you all know, NC is governed by the Board of Regents and encompasses several different types of institutions of higher education, including community colleges. Community colleges have always been and will remain critical to the state's efforts to develop workforce as the economy continues to expand and diversify to meet the needs of existing trades and professions for emerging careers in our future. Nevada's community colleges currently provide a broad spectrum of education, from traditional degree programs to certificate and training programs, all of which are essential to developing Nevada's workforce. The recent economic downturns in the state highlighted this need for community colleges to be more closely aligned to the diverse students, business communities, and the regions of the state that they serve. In order to maximize the opportunities offered by Nevada's community colleges and expand the economy, Nevada has to take a coalition approach to identifying opportunities for realigning education and training funding, increasing our coordination and collaboration among partners within the workforce system, and establishing accountability for statewide workforce development going forward. With an evolving state economy and workforce, Nevada has to ensure higher education funding formula incentivizes the education and training of tomorrow's workforce. Additionally, it's important to determine whether new methods of coordinating, governing, or funding community colleges in this state are necessary to improve and advance the purpose of the state's community colleges. This committee will conduct an interim study to identify opportunities for aligning workforce training with community colleges to meet this need of our evolving economy. The committee will analyze the governance structures and the funding mechanisms for community colleges to ensure coordination is occurring among all of Nevada's workforce development partners. To reiterate, the governor believes that the NC's funding formulas are in need of review, and this is why he is specifically calling on the study committee to analyze these funding structures. The bill establishes a collaborative effort to to establish a committee that includes relative stakeholders, and it will be co-chaired by the Chancellor and other industry partners, including one member of the Governor's Office of Economic Development, 3 members of chambers, including 1 member from a northern chamber and 2 from a southern, 1 member of labor, and the superintendent of K through 12, including also a community college president. These meetings will be subject to open meeting law, which will allow for other stakeholders to attend and participate. The study will be data-driven and will require and rely on the expertise of national experts. It will identify best practices of governance and of funding methods for community colleges, which will include the analysis of effective relationships among local school districts, workforce development, and community colleges, and make recommendations concerning how the state can strengthen these relationships to improve achievement. It will also analyze effective relationships between business and industry and community colleges, and then make recommendations how the state, whoops, I lost my last page here. Oh, can strengthen such relationships and better prepare students for entry into the workforce. The committee will provide a report of its findings to the governor and to the Legislative Council Bureau and the chair of the Board of Regents in time for recommendations to be considered in advance of the 83rd legislative session. With that, I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Korbulik. Members, any questions? Right, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you very much for presenting the bill.
Thanks.
If there's anyone who wishes to speak in support of Assembly Bill 450 here in Carson City, now's your chance. Please come forward and just state your name and evening.
Good evening, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. My name is Connor Kane, Connorcain, and I'm testifying today in support of Assembly Bill 450 on behalf of LVGEA. I know it's late, so I'll keep my remarks brief. We appreciate that this legislation recognizes the unique challenges that Southern Nevada faces coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and believe that there's not a better time than right now to develop a dislocated worker strategy and alignment plan with our community colleges. We thank Governor Sisolak, Ms. Korbulik, and Ms. Holliday-Sparrow for their work and leadership on this issue, and look forward to assisting with AB 450 in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kane. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of Assembly Bill 450? Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. For the record, Dylan Keith with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of AB 450, and we appreciate the work that has been done to bring this bill forward. We believe that an interim study to review the alignment of workforce development opportunities within the Nevada system of higher education is an important step for economic recovery. This study will identify opportunities, programs, and partnerships. By doing so, it will help us reskill workers as we work to rebuild and diversify our economy. We know that we must work together to diversify our economy. This will need to be done in collaboration with policymakers, workforce development organizations, trade associations, and labor groups. That is why the Chamber is supportive of the composition of the committee as proposed in the bill. Each group must be a part of the conversation in order to develop the plans that supports workers while meeting the skill needs of employers. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, for your time and consideration. We urge your support on AB 450.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of Assembly Bill 450 here in Carson City? All right. Broadcasting, if we can go to the phone lines, anyone who wishes to speak in favor of Assembly Bill 450?
I wish to testify in support of Assembly Bill 450. Please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, there appears to be nobody wishing to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 450 at this time.
Okay, thank you, Broadcasting. We'll come back to the committee room here in Carson City. Is there anyone opposed to Assembly Bill 450 who wishes to speak? Okay, I don't see anyone in the committee room opposed. Broadcasting, is there anyone in opposition to Assembly Bill 450 who wishes to be heard?
If you wish to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 450, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, at this time, there is no testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 450 at this time?
Okay, thank you, Broadcasting. Come back to the committee room. Is there anyone neutral on the measure who wishes to be heard? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Russell Rowe here on behalf of the Nevada System of Higher Education. While speaking in the notoriously neutral position, we do want to come here and thank the governor and his team for working collaboratively with NSHE on this study. We support the governor's commitment to strengthening our community colleges and their vital contributions to workforce development. And we greatly appreciate the governor's inclusion of the system in the study, and again, to work so collaboratively with us. Their team has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe. Anyone else neutral on the measure who wishes to be heard? Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. Anthony Ruiz, A-N-T-H-O-N-Y, R-U-I-Z, with Nevada State College, also testifying in neutral. We certainly appreciate this bill and the work that's been done on this. Obviously, workforce development is important anytime, particularly as we work to recover in a pandemic. And while this bill is primarily focused on community colleges and we are a comprehensive four-year, we stand ready to work with this committee as they shall see fit, as they determine. And, we just stand ready and hope to have a piece in the puzzle in terms of contributing what we can in workforce development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruiz. Appreciate your testimony. Anyone else neutral here in Carson City? All right, not seeing anyone else here in the committee room. Broadcasting, is there anyone neutral on the phone lines who wishes to be heard?
If you wish to provide testimony in a neutral position on Assembly Bill 450, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, there appears to be no neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And bring it back to the committee room. Ms. Korbulik, I wonder if you might have a moment. I've got just a couple of questions that we came up with a little late, and appreciate your presenting the bill. Vice Chair Lang.
No problem. Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair, to Senator Lang, Heather Korbulik for the record. I think that that's a great question, and that's absolutely something that this committee and this research panel can analyze, whether or not we have appropriate staffing structure, whether it's in our community colleges or within our economic or our workforce development force that's working on that actively. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right, well, thank you. Any closing comments you'd like to make, Ms. Korbulik?
No, I just appreciate you guys having us today. Thank you.
Thanks for your patience. Thank you. Well, we'll now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 450, and we do have a work session. We appreciate everyone being here. Thanks for your patience, and you're welcome to stick around for the rest of our agenda if you'd like, but if not, we appreciate you being here. Thank you. We have two more items on our agenda, public comment and a work session, and we usually take public comment last, so the work session, we're just waiting on a couple of members, so we'll be at ease, members. If you need to use the restroom or go get a snack, we're going to be at ease till our other two members get here.
Are they coming?
I think they are coming. I will just try to text to make sure.
Oh, let me look on the TV. I can tell if they're.
Okay, oh, that's great. Thank you. Members, we're going to come back and come back to our committee. We are going to go to our work session, and Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. For the record, Michael Stewart, Committee Policy Analyst with the Research Division. The one bill we have in work session today is Senate Concurrent Resolution number 11, which you recall we heard on May 11th. And it creates a joint special committee to conduct a study of innovation zones, which must include at least 3 members of the Assembly, 3 members of the Senate, appointed by legislative leadership. And the committee shall study the potential community and economic benefits of innovation zones and their impact on potential revenues and taxes, as well as various entities, industries, and natural resources. And there is required input from various stakeholders, and a report of the special committee's findings must be submitted to the governor on or before December 31, 2021, and include recommendations on whether no further action should be taken on innovation zones or related legislation should be proposed during a regular or special session of the legislature. And a report must also be submitted to the legislature, and the committee may request the drafting of of one legislative measure at the 82nd session of the legislature. And there are no amendments for consideration at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Stewart. Members, any questions regarding Senate Concurrent Resolution 11? Okay, not seeing any questions. I would, well, pardon me? Sorry about that. And I was just opening up for questions. Any questions on Senate Concurrent Resolution 11? If not, any questions you? No questions? Not seeing any questions? Open up for a motion? I have a motion from Vice Chair Lang. Is there a second? Second from Majority Leader Canizaro. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Nay. I have 1 nay. Madam Secretary, please note that there are 4 ayes, 1 nay, the measure having passed, and I'll keep the floor statement for that. And we'll close the work session.
Mr. Chair,
Oh,
I just
yes.
want to reserve my right to vote no on the floor. I'll vote yes for now. Thank you.
One reserving her right, Senator Gansert. And with that, we'll close the work session. And we've got 1 item left, public comment. I don't see anyone, or any public comment here in Carson City. On the phone lines, broadcasting, anyone who wishes to make public comment.
If you wish to provide general public comment, please press *9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. However, there is no public comment at this time.
All right, well, thank you very much, broadcasting. Thank you to Mr. Stewart, Ms. Stanley, our committee manager, our wonderful staff here. And the next meetings we're going to have till sine die, probably going to be a little uncertain, might be at the call of the chair, but appreciate everyone and their flexibility. With that, we are adjourned.